World War I, also known as the Great War, stands as a pivotal moment in human history. It was a cataclysmic event that shaped the world we live in today. To truly understand the magnitude of this global conflict, we must delve into its origins, unravel the complex web of alliances, and explore the political, social, and economic factors that set the stage for this unprecedented war. At the turn of the 20th century, Europe was undergoing a period of intense geopolitical tension. The balance of power among the major European nations was delicate, with competition for colonies, resources, and influence reaching a fever pitch. Nationalism was on the rise, fueled by a sense of pride and loyalty to one's country, often fueled by government propaganda. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary in Sarajevo on June 28, 1914, was the spark that ignited the powder keg of these tensions. This event triggered a series of rapid and cascading events, leading to a declaration of war between Austria-Hungary and Serbia. As alliances were invoked, countries across the globe were drawn into the conflict, transforming it into a truly global war. The horrors of trench warfare, the use of new and devastating weapons, and the staggering loss of life on an unprecedented scale characterized World War I. It was a war that redefined warfare itself, introducing technologies such as tanks, chemical weapons, and aerial warfare. The front lines stretched across Europe, with battles raging from the trenches of France to the deserts of the Middle East. Over the course of 4 long and grueling years, millions of soldiers and civilians perished, with countless lives forever altered. The war had profound consequences, not only on the nations directly involved but also on the global political landscape. It paved the way for major geopolitical shifts, the collapse of empires, and the birth of new nations. World War I, also known as the Great War, was a global conflict that erupted in 1914 and lasted until 1918. It was a war unlike any other, with devastating consequences that reshaped the world as we know it. To truly understand this monumental event, it is crucial to unravel the tensions and alliances that led to its outbreak. The causes of World War I were multifaceted and complex, rooted in a web of political, economic, and territorial disputes. One of the key factors was the system of alliances that had been established among the major European powers. These alliances, such as the Triple Entente and the Central Powers, created a delicate balance of power that was constantly teetering on the edge of conflict. Another significant cause was the intense nationalism that gripped Europe at the time. Nations were fiercely protective of their own interests and sought to expand their territories and influence. This led to fierce competition and rivalries between nations, as each sought to assert dominance over the other. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary in 1914 served as the spark that ignited the powder keg of tensions. This event set off a chain reaction of declarations of war and mobilizations, as the alliances were triggered and nations were drawn into the conflict. Economic factors also played a role in the outbreak of war. Industrialization had led to increased economic competition, as nations vied for resources and markets. The scramble for colonies and territories around the world further heightened these economic rivalries. In unraveling the causes of World War I, it becomes clear that it was a culmination of various factors that converged at a particular moment in history. It was a war that was fueled by political ambitions, nationalistic fervor, economic rivalries, and the complex web of alliances. Understanding these causes is essential to comprehending the magnitude and impact of this global conflict. At the forefront of the war were the Allied powers and the Central Powers. The Allied powers consisted of France, the United Kingdom, Russia, until 1917, and later joined by the United States and Italy. These nations formed a formidable alliance, determined to counter the aggression and expansionist ambitions of the Central Powers. The Central Powers, on the other hand, were led by Germany, Austria-Hungary, the Ottoman Empire, and Bulgaria. This alliance sought to establish dominance and reshape the political landscape of Europe. The military prowess and industrial might of Germany, in particular, posed a significant threat to the stability of the continent. The war was shaped by the decisions and strategies of prominent leaders who played pivotal roles. On the Allied side, leaders such as French General Ferdinand Foch, British Prime Minister David Lloyd George, and U.S. President Woodrow Wilson emerged as key figures in coordinating military efforts, shaping policies, and advocating for peace. Meanwhile, the Central Powers were led by notable figures like German Emperor Wilhelm II, Austrian Archduke Franz Ferdinand, whose assassination triggered the war, and Ottoman Sultan Mehmed V. These leaders made crucial decisions that influenced the course of the conflict and its ultimate outcome. It is important to delve into the motivations, ideologies, and actions of these nations and leaders to grasp the intricacies of World War I fully. By understanding their roles, alliances, and objectives, we can gain insight into the geopolitical landscape of the time and the far-reaching consequences that the war had on the world as a whole. The outbreak of World War I was triggered by the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary on June 28, 1914. This event, which occurred in the city of Sarajevo, Bosnia, set off a chain of events that would plunge the world into one of the deadliest conflicts in history. The assassination itself was carried out by a young Bosnian Serb nationalist named Gavrilo Princip, a member of the terrorist organization known as the Black Hand. His mission was to rid Bosnia of Austro-Hungarian rule and unite the South Slavic peoples under a single state. The assassination of Archduke Ferdinand and his wife Sophie was not an isolated incident. It was a culmination of rising tensions and rivalries among the major European powers. The political landscape at the time was characterized by a complex web of alliances and a delicate balance of power. Following the assassination, Austria-Hungary issued an ultimatum to Serbia, accusing the Serbian government of supporting the assassination plot and demanding a series of concessions. Serbia, unwilling to meet all of Austria-Hungary's demands, sought support from its ally, Russia. Russia, in turn, had alliances with France and Britain, who also pledged their support to Serbia. On the other side, Germany offered its full backing to Austria-Hungary. As the dominoes fell, one by one, countries found themselves drawn into the escalating conflict. By early August 1914, the world was divided into two major alliances, the Central Powers, consisting of Germany, Austria-Hungary, and later joined by the Ottoman Empire and Bulgaria, and the Allies, including France, Britain, Russia, Italy, and later joined by the United States and other nations. The assassination of Archduke Ferdinand and the subsequent diplomatic and military actions set the stage for a devastating war that would last for 4 years, claim the lives of millions of people, and reshape the geopolitical landscape of the world. It is a pivotal moment in history that marked the beginning of a tumultuous and transformative era known as World War I. Trench warfare was a defining characteristic of World War I, forever etching its name in the annals of military history. The trenches, stretching across vast landscapes, became the epicenter of unimaginable horrors and relentless struggles. Life in the trenches was a constant battle against not only the enemy but also against the harsh conditions. Soldiers endured months, sometimes years, of living in these narrow, muddy ditches. The trenches were a world of their own, where soldiers faced the daunting challenges of disease, exhaustion, and the constant threat of death. The trenches were divided into distinct sections, each with its own purpose. There were frontline trenches, where soldiers would spend their time actively engaged in combat. These trenches were mere meters away from the enemy, making them highly vulnerable to enemy fire. The constant fear of being attacked or bombed created an atmosphere of perpetual anxiety and tension. Behind the frontline trenches were support trenches, where soldiers would find brief moments of respite. These trenches served as a refuge for rest, medical aid, and communication with headquarters. However, even in these relatively safer areas, soldiers were never truly out of harm's way. Living conditions in the trenches were abysmal, to say the least. The trenches were often flooded with rainwater and filth, creating an environment ripe for diseases like trench foot and trench fever. Rats infested the trenches, feeding off the remains of fallen soldiers and exacerbating the unsanitary conditions. The constant exposure to mud, cold, and wetness took a toll on the physical and mental well-being of the soldiers. The brutality of war was ever present in the trenches. Soldiers faced the constant threat of enemy attacks, shelling, and gas attacks. The deafening sounds of gunfire and explosions reverberated through the trenches, leaving soldiers in a perpetual state of heightened alertness. The psychological toll of witnessing the horrors of war, losing comrades, and living in constant fear cannot be overstated. The trenches became a symbol of both human resilience and the devastating consequences of war. It was a grim reality that shaped the experiences of countless soldiers and changed the course of history. Understanding the realities of trench warfare is crucial in gaining a comprehensive understanding of World War I and paying homage to the sacrifices made by those who lived and fought in this unforgiving battleground. The technological advancements during World War I had a profound impact on the nature of warfare and forever changed the face of battle. This section explores the weapons and innovations that transformed the Great War into a deadly and unprecedented conflict. One of the most significant advancements was the introduction of machine guns. These rapid-fire weapons could mow down enemy soldiers with devastating efficiency, turning the battlefield into a lethal killing zone. Soldiers were no longer able to rely on traditional tactics and formations, as the machine gun's firepower could quickly decimate entire units. Another groundbreaking innovation was the use of poison gas. Both sides employed various types of poisonous gases, such as chlorine and mustard gas, to incapacitate and kill enemy soldiers. This deadly weapon caused horrific injuries and lingering effects, leaving soldiers traumatized physically and mentally. The development of tanks was another game-changer in World War I. Initially, these armored vehicles were slow and unreliable, but their presence on the battlefield was instrumental in breaking through entrenched enemy lines. Tanks provided protection for soldiers and allowed for the advancement of troops across no man's land, a previously impassable and treacherous territory. Aerial warfare also saw significant advancements during this period. Airplanes were initially used for reconnaissance purposes, but soon evolved into formidable fighters and bombers. The introduction of aerial combat brought a new dimension to warfare, as pilots engaged in dogfights and dropped bombs on enemy positions, challenging the dominance of ground forces. In addition to these major technological advancements, other innovations such as flamethrowers, grenades, and long-range artillery significantly impacted the strategies and tactics employed by both sides. The Great War became a testbed for new weapons and technologies, pushing the boundaries of what was thought possible in warfare. The technological advancements of World War I had far-reaching consequences, not only during the conflict but also in shaping the future of warfare. The lessons learned and the innovations made during this period laid the foundation for the development of even more deadly and sophisticated weapons in subsequent conflicts. It is crucial to understand and appreciate the transformative impact these advancements had on the Great War to truly grasp the magnitude of this historic conflict. The Western Front stands out as one of the most notorious battlefronts of World War I. Stretching across Belgium and France, it witnessed some of the bloodiest and most intense battles in history. From the Battle of the Marne to the infamous Battle of the Somme, the Western Front was a brutal and unrelenting battleground that claimed the lives of millions. Moving eastwards, the Eastern Front was characterized by its vastness and the staggering number of combatants involved. The battles fought here, such as the Battle of Tannenberg and the Brusilov Offensive, reshaped the course of the war and had far-reaching consequences for the nations involved. In the south, the Gallipoli campaign unfolded on the shores of the Dardanelles, aiming to secure a vital sea route to Russia. However, this ill-fated endeavor resulted in heavy casualties and a stalemate that lasted for months. The Gallipoli campaign showcased the challenges of amphibious warfare and the tenacity of the soldiers involved. On the other side of the world, the war extended beyond Europe. The Middle East became a theater of conflict, with the British and Ottoman forces clashing in campaigns such as the Sinai and Palestine campaign. These battles not only shaped the outcome of the war but also had long-term repercussions for the region, influencing the subsequent political landscape. The war also spread to the seas, with naval battles taking place in the North Sea and the Atlantic. The Battle of Jutland, often considered the largest naval battle of the war, saw the British and German fleets clash in a fierce struggle for supremacy. These naval engagements played a crucial role in the overall war effort, impacting supply lines and the movement of troops. Exploring these key theaters of war and the major battles that unfolded within them allows us to gain a deeper understanding of the scale and magnitude of World War I. From the trenches of the Western Front to the deserts of the Middle East, each battlefield holds its own stories of courage, sacrifice, and the relentless struggle for victory. During World War I, the impact of the war on civilians and society was profound. The home front became a battleground of its own, as countries mobilized their entire populations and resources to support the war effort. On the home front, civilians faced a drastic shift in their daily lives. Men were called to serve in the military, leaving behind their families and jobs. Women, who were traditionally confined to domestic roles, took on new responsibilities and entered the workforce in large numbers. They filled crucial positions in factories, farms, and hospitals, contributing to the war effort while also gaining newfound independence and empowerment. The war brought about significant changes in society as well. The war effort required massive amounts of resources, leading to rationing and shortages of essential goods. People had to adapt to a new way of life, with limited access to food, clothing, and fuel. This led to the rise of government control and intervention in the economy, as well as the emergence of black markets and illicit activities. The psychological impact of the war was immense. As news of casualties and the horrors of trench warfare reached the home front, civilians experienced fear, anxiety, and grief. Propaganda played a crucial role in shaping public opinion and rallying support for the war. It was used to promote patriotism, demonize the enemy, and justify the sacrifices being made. The war also had a lasting impact on the social fabric of society. The loss of lives, physical and mental disabilities, and the destruction of communities caused immense suffering and upheaval. The war shattered the illusion of progress and brought to light the brutal realities of modern warfare. However, amidst the hardships and tragedies, the home front also witnessed acts of resilience and solidarity. Communities came together to support one another, whether through organizing fundraisers, providing aid to soldiers and their families, or volunteering for war-related activities. The war had a unifying effect, forging a sense of national identity and collective purpose. In conclusion, the impact of World War I on the home front was far-reaching. It transformed the lives of civilians, reshaped societal norms, and tested the resilience of individuals and communities. Understanding the experiences of those on the home front is essential to fully comprehend the complexities and consequences of this global conflict. The end of World War I marked a significant turning point in history, setting the stage for a new era and reshaping the world as we know it. The armistice, signed on November 11, 1918, marked the official cessation of hostilities on the Western Front. As the guns fell silent, a sense of relief and hope swept across nations weary of the devastating conflict that had consumed their lives for 4 long years. However, the end of the war was not a seamless transition into a peaceful world. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, aimed to establish the terms of peace and hold Germany accountable for the war. It imposed heavy reparations, territorial losses, and limitations on Germany's military capabilities. While this treaty brought a sense of justice to some, it also sowed the seeds of bitterness and resentment, ultimately contributing to the rise of Adolf Hitler and the outbreak of World War II. The aftermath of World War I had far-reaching consequences on a global scale. The war had ravaged economies, shattered societies, and led to political upheaval. The collapse of empires, such as the Austro-Hungarian and Ottoman empires, gave rise to new nations and borders, often leading to ethnic tensions and conflicts that continue to resonate today. Furthermore, the war had a profound impact on individuals and communities. The physical and psychological scars left by the conflict were immense, with millions of lives lost and countless others forever changed. The war also sparked societal changes, particularly for women who played a vital role in the war effort and subsequently fought for their own rights and recognition. Reflecting on the end of World War I allows us to understand the complex web of events that unfolded during this tumultuous period. It reminds us of the sacrifices made, the lessons learned, and the ongoing pursuit of peace in a world forever shaped by the Great War. reflecting on the legacy and impact of World War I allows us to grasp the profound lessons learned from this monumental conflict. The war, which lasted from 1914 to 1918, left an indelible mark on history, reshaping the geopolitical landscape, altering societal norms, and advancing military strategies that would shape future conflicts. First and foremost, World War I serves as a stark reminder of the devastating human cost of war. The unprecedented scale of casualties, both military and civilian, is a tragic testament to the destructive power of modern warfare. The war claimed the lives of millions, leaving families shattered and communities in mourning. This serves as a poignant reminder to prioritize diplomacy and peaceful resolutions in resolving conflicts whenever possible. Additionally, World War I ushered in a new era of technological advancements in warfare tactics. It witnessed the introduction of devastating weapons such as machine guns, artillery, and chemical warfare, forever altering the nature of combat. The lessons learned from the tactics employed during this war have influenced military strategies and shaped subsequent conflicts, emphasizing the importance of adaptability and innovation in the face of ever-evolving threats. Moreover, the aftermath of World War I brought about significant political and social changes. The disintegration of empires, the redrawing of national boundaries, and the birth of new nations transformed the global political landscape. The war also saw the rise of movements for women's suffrage and labor rights, as the contributions of women in wartime industries and the absence of male workers highlighted the need for gender equality and social reform. On a global scale, World War I laid the groundwork for future conflicts and shaped international relations. The Treaty of Versailles, which sought to establish peace, inadvertently sowed the seeds for future tensions and conflicts. The war's unresolved issues and the subsequent economic hardships paved the way for the rise of authoritarian regimes, ultimately leading to World War II, underscoring the importance of addressing the root causes of conflict and ensuring equitable resolutions. In conclusion, reflecting on the legacy and impact of World War I offers valuable insights into the consequences of war, the need for diplomacy, and the importance of learning from history. It reminds us of the human cost, technological advancements, and political shifts that emerged from this global conflict. By studying and understanding these lessons, we can strive for a future that prioritizes peace, cooperation, and the prevention of such devastating conflicts.